Hello everyone, Sierra Game Scott here. I just got through this last puzzle. Like I was telling you beforehand, you just pretty much play with the Antwort thing. It's very tedious. You just have to kind of move him around, and he kind of falls. Gravity kind of pushes him in the direction that you want him to go, and you've got to cycle through the different rotations of the maze, and eventually gets to the key, and then you have to get him to pop out of a little hole in the maze. Very tedious, would take a long time, not very interesting. So I did that for you off screen. Also, I showed you the lock puzzle. I did that. I considered doing that as part of the LP, or at least showing you what happens when the lock's put together. Pretty much it just shows a lock from that puzzle you had. I was going to do that. The problem was if you dally there and don't move ahead quickly, you can get an error. And one of the, unfortunately, the infamous errors that you have with Quest for Glory 4. I didn't want to risk that, so I just moved ahead into the next scene. But you really haven't missed anything in terms of the gameplay or the plot. And we are in Dr. Cranium's office, so we're going to move over there. I did raise the volume a little bit too. If it's that prohibitive, I'll junk this video. You won't see it anyway. If it's not, though, let me know if the music's too loud. But I think it'll be a little bit better. It seemed a little soft on some of the previous videos that I had recorded. So without further ado, let's talk to Dr. Cranium. Oops. Well, let's save it, just so we don't have to deal with that again. Alright, so we're in Dr. Cranium's lab. Quickly, Igor! The fluid! I must have the fluid! Oh, excuse me. I thought it was Igor coming in to assist me. He helps out in this lab sometimes. Now then, what can I do for you? Greet, Dr. Cranium. You say hello to the scientist. Welcome to my laboratory. You must have more intelligence than the usual. You must have more than the usual intelligence and perseverance to have made it in here. Introduce yourself. You introduce yourself to Dr. Cranium and tell him a little about your adventures. I should be most interested to hear about your travels and your scientific discoveries along the way. Unfortunately, I have very little time for that right now. Perhaps we can discuss your adventures when you next return. You thumb your nose, rub your belly, and so on. I was afraid of that. As an outsider here, you have apparently not yet built up an immunity to the Moldavian dancing sickness. We used to have several people in town who exhibit those symptoms, but I have not seen any cases in quite some time. Let us hope the disease does not prove fatal in your case. Alright, so I think this, we can tell about magic, but we'll save that for later. I think he pretty just says he doesn't believe in magic. Not surprisingly. So let's ask who he is. My name is Dr. Cranium. I am Moldavia's chief scientist and a certified genius. Some call me mad, but I much prefer Dr. Cranium. Ah, yes, science. I am glad you asked. Science is the process of systematically increasing our knowledge of the world through observation and experiment. Unfortunately, some of the townspeople here seem to have no concept of the wonders of science. Some of them even claim my inventions are magical. Such poppycock. There's no such thing as magic. Still, the townspeople insisted that I should be able to use my magic to cure wounds and sickness. I told them that I am a scientist, not a doctor, but they wouldn't listen. I had little choice but to concoct some simple elixirs. They were childishly pleased. Science is really so simple once you understand it. Alright, so we'll ask about the different potions. If you want to improve your stamina, then you should make sure you eat a healthy diet from all the different food groups. Get plenty of aerobic exercise. That is science. So pretty much that's telling you there are no stamina pills in this game. I can't remember, or potions, I guess they're potions in this game, they're pills in the last game. I can't remember if they were in Quest for Glory 3, I don't think so. They do come back in Quest for Glory 5, but pretty much the only way to get your stamina back is to rest. Healing potions. Oh, you must mean my patented healing drink. You may have my last fund. Unfortunately, I have forgotten the formula for its main ingredient. If you can help me remember it, I will be able to make some more healing drinks. Though the work is very time-consuming. Alright, so this is the copy protection for the game, and I actually do not have the manual open right now, /hint guide. So I'm just going to ignore that for the time being. Somehow that doesn't seem to quite right. Maybe you'd better check your manual and try again tomorrow. Right, exactly. So, pretty much, I'm not going to ask them about all these things. They'll ask about at least the poison cure pills and the healing potions. You don't necessarily need them, particularly if you're not doing a lot of combat, but it makes it easier. You may need the poison cure at some point, I believe. So that's kind of how Sierra won't prevent you from playing the game, or wouldn't prevent you from playing the game, or progressing in the game, but it makes it more difficult if you did not purchase the game and have the manual access to the manual. Alright, so we'll ask about empty flasks. You got Dr. Cranium if you can share an empty flask for a specimen collection. Of course, of course! I'm always delighted to assist scientific research of any kind. I have plenty of flasks. You may have this one. Very good. Alright. Experiments are the meat and drink of science. First you must come up with hypotheses based upon your understanding of the scientific elements, then perform an experiment to test the hypothesis. Afterwards, you have a pizza. Earth is for solidity and stability. Air gives freedom and movement. Fire provides power and energy. Water, fluidity and life. Pizza, of course, is the most important element of all. Pizza represents the essence of well-roundedness and regaining strength. Most importantly, you can have it delivered in under half an hour in most areas. I don't think in Mordavia, but maybe he's lucky. A hypothesis is a scientific guess. One predicts the result of an operation, performs an experiment to test a prediction, then has a pizza to celebrate the result. It is very important to stay flexible, however. Sometimes the experiment can give a different result than the predicted by the hypothesis. Since real scientists don't like to make mistakes, we always write the hypotheses in pencil. Well, I guess that makes sense. This guy sure likes pizza, so we'll ask about it. Pizza is a crucial ingredient in many scientific formulae. There's nearly infinite variations in its effects, depending on whether one starts with pepperoni, mushrooms, artichokes, or plain cheese. One should always order extra pizza in case the experiment requires additional materials. Besides, science is hungry work. Alright, so I guess it's kind of like a Ninja Turtle in that sense, that he enjoys his pizza. Alright, we'll ask about Igor. Igor is the grave digger and tombstone carver. Business has been slow lately, perhaps because there are so very few people left in town. So Igor sometimes comes in to help me with my work. Igor's business. Igor has had less work of late. The forest is just as dangerous, but there aren't very many people left in town who are stupid enough to go out there at night. I like to think of it as sort of an evolution in action. Igor is carving out quite a niche for himself in the gravestone business. You might say he's well on his way to becoming a rock star. Then again, you might not. The cemetery is outside of town to the east. It has proven a fruitful source of materials for my experiments. There's also some interesting and cryptic puzzles to be solved there. Haha. That's kind of sick too, that he's robbing corpses for his experiments. The fluid. Essential etheric fluid is an important ingredient in my formula for reanimating dead bodies. It contains the essence of the element of water, the most important scientific ingredient in life science. Alright, laboratory. This laboratory is where I'll perform some of my most important research. Lately, I've been trying to bring life back to a dead body and brew with a perfect cup of tea. Alright, well, let's bring the dead back. Well, reanimating the dead is just another day's work in the life of a scientist. Even science cannot bring a person back quite the way they were, but one can use scientific principles to restore the semblance life and energy to formerly dead flesh. Perfect tea. The one alchemical combination that I have thus been able to fully analyze is that of a good cup of tea. I am sure there must be a way to duplicate the effects of nature, but the results have not been promising so far. Perhaps you would like a cup of spearmint and beefsteak tea. I thought not. This is even hotter than rehydration solution and reviving dead tissue. Research is the heart with the soul science. Without constant experimentation to prove or disprove one's hypotheses, the scientist is left to try to solve the world's problems by guesswork. That is hardly the most efficient way to achieve results. I try to maintain a modest selection of useful experimental equipment in my simple laboratory. Unfortunately, it has become very difficult to obtain the most modern scientific accessories, since the roads out of the valley became closed by the swamp, and you live in the Middle Ages, apparently. Alright. Mad scientist. Mad? Mad? They all call me mad. What do they know about madness? I am not mad. A bit perturbed about the world situation, how I get so little respect, perhaps, but certainly not mad. Alright, that may be it. Okay, so we can come back at some point, or more likely I will come back off screen and stock up on some healing potions by handing or provide the formula / copy protection when I looked it up. But for the time being, I think we did what we can with Dr. Cranium, so we will say goodbye. You can say goodbye, Dr. Cranium. Please be careful not to break any beakers or crack the flasks on your way out. Fair enough. So, that's pretty much him. Hey, there's a few things we can do with him later on. Come back and visit again. Oh, and if you see Igor, please tell him I still need the fluid. Yes, and so in the future you can just use your keys in there, and you don't have to go through all the silliness. So, just in case, given this game is prone to, various errors, let's just save it and continue on our way. So, I have, done most of what you can do in the town for the time being. I don't think there's too many more things to do. We talked to Igor, went to all the shops, we talked to this guy. There's a few things you can do, but the main thing left is to take a look at the Thieves Guild. Because we're over the 10-minute mark, I am not going to do that, because it'd make a particularly long video. I will do that next video, so for those of you who have been waiting to see the Thieves Guild, you're getting really hungry. For those of you who've been interested in seeing the Thieves Guild, that will be next week, or probably next time. The next video will be probably entirely dedicated to it. But we'll try to round out this video. I don't want to make it too short, so we do have a little more time than in the past. So we'll see. We'll get something to eat as the game tells us we're hungry, and maybe it'll prompt some more conversation. Okay, we're getting some food. Yes. So now we can have some food. You have some garlic pheasant for supper. Oh, she doesn't stay out. In future videos, she would stay out, and you could actually converse with her. But early on, she is not, and those farmers are not around either. Okay, so you don't. I think you already ate the food. And it's not bothering me again. So, see if I can get some more conversation out of this guy. This inn used to do a steady business before the swamp prevented traders and tourists from coming. Now we mostly make our money off food and drink. The castle was once that of the boyar. Now we do not know who lives there. Besides the ones that come in here in the evening, there are quite a few others. You probably have met the shopkeeper, the grave digger, the burgermeister, and there's Nikolai and that crazy Dr. Cranium. He is a harmless old man who wanders around looking for his dead wife. It must be a shame to grow old or alone. Dr. Cranium came to Mordavia several years before the swamp closed off the path. No one knows much about him, but no one trusts him. It is rumored that he conducts strange experiments. The shopkeeper knows everything that goes on in this town. She makes a delicious avocado and garlic sandwich, which he sells as raisins. The burgermeister keeps to himself and lives in his office. The grave digger is a strange one. He's a good carver of tombstones, and diggers of graves, though. Well, I guess that's a compliment. Alright, let's see. What about the forest? I know little of the forest, for I seldom leave my inn. You should speak with the burgermeister. Perhaps he can tell you more about it. I am well, as always. I do not gossip. So you're back. The innkeeper nods at you. Alright, well, let us take a look and see if the burgermeister has anything else to fill us in on. I'm also... Oh, okay, so we are not going outside because it is very dangerous in Moldavia at night. We always keep things locked up when it gets dark. I will let you out for now. If you wish to return later this evening, just knock on the door. If you do not make it back by closing of the inn, you may rest in peace. So he's letting us out. Okay, it's not dark yet, so but as you can see, this is closed now, so I guess it is indicating it's about evening. The burgermeister's office is closed. The sign says office 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's interesting that they use the same time we use, or demarcations of time. Oop, doesn't budge. Alright, what time is it? It's day 1. There is one thing we can do at night. I feel, I don't know, bad about doing it before the, before we visit the Thieves Guild. Yeah, we'll see if it's actually a possibility. It's light out actually, so it's not quite as ready for thief activities. Though there is only really one thing you can do in this game. Actually, there's a couple, but only one thing that would be considered the classical thieving activity. And I think we will leave that until a future video. Let's see the guild first, and then we can move ahead with. Unfortunately, one of the limited amount you can do as a thief. I was recently watching a part of somebody's LP on Quest for Glory 1, and it just reminded me just how much you can do as a thief. That the game, there's a lot of side quests for him in the first one, and unfortunately the character really just gets shifted as the series progresses. I think it might come back a little bit in Quest for Glory 5, but unfortunately that game was not quite up to the same standards and story as the earlier games. So Quest for Glory 1 is definitely the Thieves game, and unfortunately that was never quite replicated the same in future games. In any event, the time on the clock is evening in Mordavia. The time for us, however, is, I think it's time to end the video, and then when we come back next time, we'll learn the mysteries of the Thieves Guild. Until then, Sierra Game Scott, signing off.